Previously, we learned about the vasopressin and vasopressin agonist in the antidiuretic 1 part. Today, we discuss the diabetes insipidus. In this, particularly, we talk about the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus and drug which are useful in the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Okay, and also the vasopressin antagonist. So let's recollect about the diabetes insipidus. Okay, so two type of the diabetes insipidus. One, it's the centrally origin or pituitary origin, and second one is the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. If we talk about the how to differentiate it, okay, so we already know, okay, if we are giving the antidiuretic hormone, okay, and there is an increase in the urine volume, there is a urine volume if reduced and increase in the osmolarity of this increase by this vasopressin, then it is a due to the there is a antidiuretic hormone deficiency, so it's a centrally origin. Okay, so if we are giving this vasopressin or desmopressin, then there is a urine volume is reduced and osmolarity increase, so it's a central origin. But if it is due to the nephrogenic or kidney related, so there is a no response to the antidiuretic hormone. Kidney, there is a no response. Okay, it is a unresponsive to the antidiuretic hormone. It's called the nephrogenic or kidney related diabetes insipidus. Okay, so it's a not centrally origin. Okay, there is a two type, and nowadays we are using for this purpose desmopressin 2 microgram intramuscular if we want to differentiate the centrally and nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Clear this thing? Okay, so central diabetes insipidus we already learned in antidiuretic 1 part. Okay, there is a reduced secretion of the antidiuretic hormone, so there is an increase in the urine volume. Okay, so patient needs the lifelong treatment. Drug of choice for this central diabetes insipidus we learned in previous lecture also is the desmopressin, and it is the intranasal route. Intranasal route there is a 5 microgram 2 times in a day. Why there is a vasopressin? It is not a drug of choice because it is a shorter acting, and this central diabetes insipidus it is a needs a lifelong treatment. Okay, so vasopressin it is a not drug of choice, but drug of choice is a desmopressin, particularly by the intranasal route. Other drugs which are useful in the diabetes insipidus, centrally diabetes insipidus, it is a, try to remember, there is a 3C. Okay, 3C, there is a chloropropamide, carbamazepine, clofibret, and other it is a thiazide. Okay, so C, 3C, there is a chloropropamide, carbamazepine, and clofibret. It is useful in the central diabetes insipidus. How it's active or how it gives effect in the central diabetes insipidus? The one possible mechanism is increase the V2 receptor mediate antidiuresis. Okay, so it's a more enhance the V2 receptor mediate antidiuretic effect. Okay, in one line. This chloropropamide it is the only oral hypoglycemic agent that which is useful in the diabetes mellitus also and diabetes insipidus also. Okay, so this chloropropamide we learn in later in endocrine system diabetes mellitus. Okay, diabetes mellitus there is a useful of this chloropropamide. It is a sulfonylurea and longer acting drug which is used as a hypoglycemic agent. It is also useful in this diabetes insipidus. So if in MCQ asks the one drug which is useful in the diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus both, then your answer is a chloropropamide. Try to remember this thing. Okay, so it's a for the MCQ purpose. Then one drug it is a thiazide. We learn this thiazide it's a diuretic, but it also having the role as a antidiuretic in diabetes insipidus patient. It is not in normal patient. Try to remember this thing. Okay, so thiazide it is effective in both type of the diabetes insipidus, in centrally acting and nephrogenic acting. Okay, so drug which are useful in the both type of the diabetes insipidus, then answer is a thiazide diuretics. So let's see that this thiazide diuretics, how it is effective as an anti-diuretic. Okay, so it is useful in the both diabetes insipidus, which either it is the pituitary origin or the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Okay, and in nephrogenic diabetes insipidus it also useful in the two types, either it's a lithium, due to the lithium, or non-lithium induced renal diabetes insipidus. And this is the only the possible explanation of the why this thiazide is useful as an antidiuretic. First one, it's a paradoxical effect. Paradoxical means it's not a normally, but it's a exception effect. Okay, so normally we already know about there is a thiazide, it's a diuretic. It is acting on the distal convoluted tubules. Okay, but if we give this thiazide diuretics in diabetes insipidus patient only, not in a normal patient, then there is a chances of the reduce the GFR and reduce plasma volume due to the negative sodium balance, and it also increase the sodium and water absorption from the proximal tubules. Okay, as a diuretic its effect and the distal convoluted tubules, not in the proximal tubules, but in diabetes insipidus patient it increase the sodium and water absorption from the proximal tubules. So this water and sodium which is not going to the distal convoluted tubules, so it is a not effective as a diuretic, but it is an antidiuretic at after the some times. Okay, so the ultimately there is a reduce the urine production and increase the concentration of urine in the diabetes insipidus patient, not in normal patient. Okay, so it's a possible explanation of the why this thiazide is a useful as a antidiuretic. And drug which are more useful, it's a hydrochlorothiazide 25 to 50 milligram 3 times in a day as a antidiuretic. Indomethacin, it also reduce the prostaglandin synthesis in renal, and it also effective in the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, but no other non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug is useful as a in nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Only the indomethacin which reducing the renal prostaglandin synthesis, and it is effective in the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Then one drug, it is amyloidride, and try to remember it is a drug of choice in lithium induced nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. So if in MCQ it is asked about the drug of choice in lithium induced nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, then answer it is amyloidride. Okay, not there is a thiazide, but it is a amyloidride. Okay, and we already know in the diuretic it is blocking the entry of the sodium channel in the principal cells of the collecting duct. Okay, there is a epithelial sodium channel, and this blocked by this triamterene and amyloidride, and this amyloidride it also the block the entry of the lithium by this channel. Okay, so it is effective in the lithium induced nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Okay, then one another query of the why this triamterene and amyloidride, one student asked about the how it is effect in the potassium sparing diuretic. Okay, this triamterene and amyloidride, it is blocking the sodium channel. So how it is effective as a potassium sparing diuretic? So let's see. Okay, let's see this. It's a collecting duct, lumen side. Okay, apical membrane. This is the basolateral membrane. Okay, this is the basolateral membrane. Normally क्या होता है? Normally there is a sodium channel, epithelial sodium channel. Okay, it takes the sodium from the lumen inside the cells. Okay, inside the cells, and there is a no chloride channel or no HCO3 minus here. Okay, so more sodium inside the cell, it depolarize this membrane, and it generate the negative transepithelial potential generation. Okay, so due to this negative potential, it open this K plus channel, potassium channel open होगी, and more excretion of this potassium, it's coupled with this sodium channel. Okay, it's coupled with this sodium channel. So if we inhibit this sodium channel, Okay, if we inhibit this sodium channel, epithelial sodium channel, which is present in the principal cell of the collecting duct, so no more sodium going. Okay, so no more sodium, it is going inside the cell. So there is a no generation of the negative transepithelial potential difference. Okay, so it's not open this potassium channel, so there is a no more secretion. Okay, there is a no more secretion of the potassium in the lumen. Okay, so it is a act as a potassium sparing diuretic. Okay, so it's a potassium sparing diuretic. This is trimetazine and amiloride, and this amiloride, it also block the lithium ion. Okay, lithium ion entry inside the nephron, so it is a useful in the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus due to the lithium. Okay, hope it is a clear. Okay, then other drugs which are useful, it is a vasopressin antagonist. Okay, vasopressin antagonist, and it is a conivaptan. It is a acting on the V1 receptor also and V2 receptor antagonist also. Okay, then main drug, it is a tolvaptan, which is used nowadays. It is a tolvaptan. Okay, पीछे वैप्टन आएगा. Try to remember this. There is a पीछे वैप्टन आएगा हर ड्रग में. It is a vasopressin receptor antagonist. Okay, vasopressin receptor antagonist. There is a vaptan. Okay, so this tolvaptan, it is a orally active. It is a non-peptide selective V2 receptor antagonist, and it is a useful in the syndrome. It is useful in the SIADH. It is a syndrome inappropriate ADH secretion. Means there is an excess secretion of the antidiuretic hormone. Okay, excess secretion of the antidiuretic hormone. So laser urine. Okay, antidiuretic hormone ज़्यादा होगा. Okay, so we need to antagonist this, and it is a V2 receptor antagonist. It is a tolvaptan. Okay, we are using this tolvaptan in SIADH. It is a syndrome inappropriate ADH secretion, and inappropriate means there is a excess secretion of this ADH. Okay, one drug which is also useful in this is the demeclocycline, and it's preferred also. Demeclocycline 600 to 1200 milligram once in a day, and it is acting on the collecting duct cell. It decreases the responsiveness of the collecting duct to the antidiuretic hormone. Okay, so भले ही if there is an increase in the ADH, but our collecting duct cells, principal cells, it is a less responsiveness by this demeclocycline. Okay, demeclocycline देंगे, then there is a unresponsiveness of the collecting duct to the antidiuretic hormone. Okay, so this vasopressin receptor antagonist, it's also called the aquaretic. Okay, why? Because it increases the free water clearance by the kidney. Okay, what is this aquaretic or aquaresis? It's the facilitate of the excretion of the water without electrolyte loss. Okay, diuretics which increase the excretion of water, it's with the electrolyte loss. Okay, there is a sodium loss. Okay, but here it is a aquaresis, not a diuretics. Okay, it is a aquaresis. There is a no loss of the sodium. Okay, so it facilitates the excretion of water without any electrolyte loss. So it's called the aquaresis, aquaretic. That is increase the free water clearance by the kidney. Okay, if we see the side effect, then there is a common side effect like there is a thirst and dry mouth. Also sometimes there is a fever, GIT upset, and hyperglycemia. This tolvaptan, conivaptan, and other vasopressin receptor antagonists which are not combined with this some other CYP3A4 inhibitor. Okay, because this drug is metabolized by the CYP3A, so we are not giving this CYP3A4 inhibitor with this vasopressin receptor antagonist. Okay, some other B2 selective antagonists, it's for the MCQ purpose only. Okay, cetabaptan, mozavaptan, and lixivaptan. Try to remember these things. Okay, this cetabaptan, mozavaptan, and lixivaptan, पीछे vaptan आएगा. It's a vasopressin receptor antagonist. Okay, antagonist, vasopressin receptor antagonist. It's a cetabaptan, mozavaptan, and lixivaptan. Okay, so it's a V2 receptor. Try to remember this thing. It's a V2 receptor antagonist. Then there is a V1A antagonist and V1B also called the V3 receptor antagonist, and it is a nellivaptan. Nelly and relcovaptan. Try to remember this, nellivaptan and relcovaptan. Nellivaptan, it is a V3 receptor antagonist, and relco it is a V1A or V1 receptor antagonist. Okay, बाकी के सारे V2 receptor antagonist, and mix it is a conivaptan. Okay, mix it is a conivaptan antagonist and tolvaptan. So it is about the V2 vasopressin receptor antagonist, and these are my references for this video. Thank you.